Hi, my name is Fergus O'Connell and I wanted to tell you a bit about my new novel, The Photographs of Gettysburg. As you might have expected from the title, it's set during the American Civil War, and while it's fiction, obviously, it actually has its basis in fact. So the fact begins on September 17th, 1862, when at a place called Antietam in Maryland, the Union and the Confederacy fought one of the greatest battles of the American Civil War. And this was the single bloodiest day, both of the Civil War and actually in US history. Um, Total casualties on that day were 26,000 people killed, wounded, missing, or taken prisoner. And a few days after the battle, a man called Matthew Brady, a photographer, brought his photographic equipment to the battlefield, and he did something nobody had ever done before. He took pictures of the dead. And what he did then about a month later was he mounted an exhibition of these pictures in New York. And this is what the New York Times said about that exhibition. The living that throng Broadway care little perhaps for the dead at Antietam, but we fancy they would jostle less carelessly down this great thoroughfare, saunter less at their ease, were a few dripping bodies, fresh from the battlefield, laid along the pavement. And that's what Brady did. He basically laid the bodies along the pavement. And you can still see these photographs if you Google on Matthew Brady and Library of Congress. And, you know, even us who are now, I think, very much used to this kind of stuff, they're still very shocking to our eyes. So that's where the fact ends. Now, this is where the fiction lifts off then. So the hero of this story is a guy called Gilbert Owens. He's a photographer. And the story begins in Washington, D.C. on the 1st of July, 1863, the first day of the Battle of Gettysburg. And Owens's wife has died about 4 months earlier, and basically this has devastated him. She was the love of his life. He's lost everything as far as he's concerned, and he's just basically drinking himself to death. And so into his life then comes this Italian immigrant, Roberto, who wants to be a photographer. And on the evening of the 1st of July, uh, Roberto finds out that this battle has begun at Gettysburg, about 70 miles from Washington, D.C. Now, given that the only form of communication at that time was, telegraph over wires, not too many people would have known in Washington that this battle had begun. Basically, we'd be talking about Abraham Lincoln and some people at the War Office. But anyway, Roberto, who's a very resourceful kind of guy, as you'll see if you read the book, has found this out. And he comes along to Owens and he says, you know, we have a chance now to do what Brady did, to go to Gettysburg. Nobody else knows about this. They will in a few days, but they don't now. Um, and go photograph dead bodies, put on an exhibition and make loads of money. And of course, Owens is just like sunk in despair and loss and grief, and he doesn't want to go. But Roberto tricks him into going. And so the two of them head off then, and they go to Gettysburg. And I guess I really can't tell you any more now, but this is a road movie. It's two guys making a journey. It's an anti-war novel, I think you'd have to say, and it's a love story because during the book we find out about the love affair between Gilbert and his wife Sarah. Um, I think the other thing is, I don't know if it sounds like it's a book for guys, but I really don't think it is. Um, 7 people read this. The first 7 people to read this, actually the only 7 people to have read this so far, 4 of them were women, and all of them really liked it. So I think I think it's for men and women. And if the book has a theme, I guess one of the characters in the book really says what the theme is. She says, "Grief is the price we pay for love," and that really is the theme of the book. So I hope you'll enjoy it if you get to read it. Thanks for listening.